leave you with that opening speech and let's go into the Forex Factory. I tell people, before you decide what to trade on a daily basis, you need to check your Forex Bible, right? More like you wake up in the morning and you decide to do your devotion. Same thing as a trader, you need to check your Forex Bible. There are a couple of them. I call them I call them your news, where you get your news. They are called economic calendars, right? So the most one we use is Forex Factory. I know we are all familiar with that. So for today, being Wednesday, the 31st of May, right? It's the last day of the month. We're expecting a couple of news, right? Already we've missed out on the Reserve Bank of Australia. Louis actually spoke. That was around 12 a.m. And then we had Australian CPI came out by 2:30, right? It came out positive for the Australian dollar. So definitely that should have given a boost to the Australian dollar this morning. So if you are a night crawler and you were up at 2:30, I'm sure you would have keyed into that news, right, and made some money before people actually wakes up. We also had on CNY, we had manufacturing PMI, and then we have non-manufacturing PMI, right? So those two news came out around 2:30. Then all day we are going to be having Euro. We are going to be having prelim CPI on the Euro, right? Euro has actually been very, very weak for a while, right? And if you check the Euro USD chart, we've been having this further dive down of the Euro USD, and you know it's been for persons that have been on the right side of Euro USD, they probably would have been making a lot of money if they are taking a sell trade on Euro USD from the beginning of the month up until now, right? But finally, there's and most of the news that actually came out on the Euro as at last week and this week, most of them were actually not very good. They were negative news. So I think that contributed to the further push down in the Euro, right? But today we are expecting positive sentiment around the Euro, since we have a very high impact news. That's the German prelim CPI coming out, and it's all day because it's a statement, right? It's a statement, deliberations, policy making. So we're expecting positive sentiment from that, since policymakers will be gathering together to decide what's the next turn of the economies would look like, right? So we should expect positive sentiment from that all day. So by 9 a.m. we have the financial stability review. So they're going to be reviewing how stable the European economy looks like, or what it currently is, and that would also influence further decisions on the euro, right? By 1:30 p.m. we have GBP on card, right? We have the GBP, so their gross domestic products data will be coming out on the Canadian dollar by 1:30, and by 3 p.m. we have the JOLTS job opening in the US. That's also a high impact news. That's also a high impact news for the USD zone. So there are varieties of instruments you could actually be pairing together, looking at all the news coming out for today. We have a couple of high impact news, though we've missed out on some, but there's still a couple of others that we could actually key into. By 4:05 on CHF, we'll be having the SNB chairman Jordan will be speaking, right? SNB chairman will be speaking in person of Jordan, and that will be by 4:05. Then by 5:30, which will crown up the major impact news that we have for the day, will be FOMC member how does he pronounce his name? Aka will be speaking, right? And that's by 5:30 p.m., right? So that's all the news would be that will be coming out for today. So can you all hear me? Can you all hear me? Can you all hear me? If you can hear me, can I get a yes in the chat session? I want to be sure everybody's following. If you can hear me, let me get a yes in the chat session. Okay, perfect. All right. So looking at this now, from everything I've said, we are going to be checking, or we are going to be picking trades based on this news coming out. All right, we are going to be pairing some of these instruments that have major impact news and medium impact news coming out today with some instruments that don't have any fundamentals coming out today, and that will be the best way to get a one-sided directions on your one-sided direction on your chart, right? And that's actually the best thing to do if you want to make money from this market. So I probably wouldn't be pairing an instrument like Euro USD, right? Because most likely, since we have high impact news coming out all day and we have high impact news coming out by, you could do that. You could pair Euro USD from now till, let's say, 3 p.m. But after that, I don't think it would be smart to still pair Euro USD, because in a scenario where both instruments are strong, what you'll be getting is a ranging market. And don't forget, we don't want a flat market. We need either a market going towards the bullish side or a market coming towards the bearish side for you to actually make profit from the market. So that being said, let's quickly dive into our charts. And then the first instrument we'll be looking out for, we'll be taking currencies on Euro. We'll be looking at CHF, we'll be looking at USD, and we'll also be looking at what's the last one? We'd also be looking at CAD, right? So we're looking at Euro, we're looking at CAD, we're looking at USD, we are looking at CHF. Euro, CAD, USD, CHF. Let's Euro, CAD, USD, CHF. So let's start from, okay, let's start from USD JPY, right? Let's start from USD JPY. USD JPY, we're actually not expecting any high impact news, no medium impact news on JPY zone. So I still expect that positive sentiment around this instrument at this point should give the USD a boost. And you could see that though USD JPY has actually been more of on a downward this, and I think that's more of a retracement, because though there's a double top here, if this now there's a lower low at this point here, if USD doesn't fully recover from this little push down, then we might get a full reversal on this instrument. But currently this might just be a retracement point, and I wouldn't want to cook all my eggs in this pot, right? I wouldn't want to cook all my eggs in this pot. So that being said, what I'll be most likely expecting, hold on, let me give my trend line a better outlook. Okay, so like I said, I have a double top here, which most likely is a reversal pattern. But what I want to do, because we have our impact news coming out on the USD, there's every possibility that the USD would still win this market for today, pushing price back here to probably form a triple top, right? Pushing back price back all the way to the top here to form a triple top, where you already have a double top at the top here. Let me use bolder lines. So you could actually, so don't forget, the whole essence of this analysis is for you to understand how this market works. So as much as possible, try and follow up with this analysis, and also don't be scared to actually do analysis yourself, take trades on your demo account, right? So we have price actually rejected at this top here, this year being a double top, and because we have a positive sentiment, we have high impact news coming out on the USD. Like I said, most times where there is high impact news, there's always positive sentiment on that instrument up until the time that news actually drops, and then you can now get a clear direction as to where the market is going, right? So I expect that Euro USD USD JPY, rather, the instrument is USD JPY, right? On a 1 hour time frame, I expect that USD JPY should actually buy, right? Looking at the boost the dollar might actually be getting today, but I wouldn't want to go in for an instant buy now. And of course, we have a price piercing also forming at the bottom here, right? So, and you know, the best point for you to actually buy is at a support zone, and you can see that USD JPY is currently resting on a good support, right? It's resting on a good support at this point here, and a price piercing has currently formed. And if this candle closes bullish, you have what we call a perfect confirmation candle for your price piercing, a confirmation candle for your bullish price piercing, right? So I have my bullish confirmation candle by the time this candle closes. Like I said, for my confirmation, this current candle that is forming needs to close first, and once that close, I just need to wait for price to break above this previous point here. So I'll be taking my buy as soon as price breaks. Let me take out my trend line. All right, so I'll be taking my buy as soon as price is able to break this resistance point here, because despite the fact that uh, um I'm expecting a buy, I still want to ensure that I'm going in for a more credible buy. So I'd wait for price to break above these points, and then I could ride my way all up on this way. Or you could actually go in for an instant buy as soon as this market as soon as this current candle actually closes, right? But to be on the safer point, you wait for price to break above here. So I'll be going for a buy in around this region, right? And it's still in the buy zone, right? It's still in the buy zone. Even if you're going in for an instant buy now, you're still in the buy zone because you're buying from a low point. The best thing to do is to buy at a support, and then you take your profits at your resistance. Then you sell at the resistance, take your profits at the support, right? So since I already have that, this my buy zone is still in order, and you could see that price is currently pushing up, right? So anything in between here, I could take my buy, but and my profit, I'll be taking my profit up onto this point. So this will be my reward zone. Let me use this box here as red. So this is my buy zone. Make this red. Okay, yeah. All and then I'll be taking my profit. So the whole of this point will be my reward zone, right? So from here down, so it depends on how many pips you're targeting. Like I said, when you're doing, like when you're buying at a support, you have more reward to actually look out to. You have lesser risks, more reward. So let me make this light green and okay, lime. Yeah. So if I'm doing this, notice my buy will be in this region, or if price breaks above here, I'll still be going in for a buy. In as much as price is in between this red zone, and let me zoom in a little so you get a closer glimpse of what I'm talking about, right? Okay, so in as much as price is in between these points, right? So up around 139.712, in as much as price is there, to 139.331, in as much as price is in between that point, you could still keep going in for a buy, but you put your stop loss somewhere below 139.331. So your stop loss should be somewhere below here. So because this is after the support. So if price breaks below this support, then I'd be sure to just cut out my losses and then move on. You get? So, but this would still be a good point for me to enter a buy, even if I'm entering at the current market price, right? Or you could be a cautious trader and wait for price to comfortably break above this point, and then you take your buy from this green zone up until this resistance. Like I said, sentiment is going to be in favor of the dollar, right? But by the time the news comes out, the news will actually determine the actual direction of the market. But the news is going to become is going to become number by 3. So there's still a whole lot of room for the market, for USD JPY to actually buy, considering we don't have any high impact news or any medium impact news on the JPY. So my preference on USD JPY is a buy on a 1 hour time frame, right? So let's look at another instrument. Let's look at another instrument quickly. We don't have any news coming out on the GBP. So let's look at GBP USD. We don't have any news coming out on GBP. So let's look at GBP USD, right? So for GBP USD, you could see that that's a strong sentiment has already started on GBP USD. So you could see, as at this morning, the USD is already winning the market, and price is actually selling, and it would be heading down to this support zone. I'm expecting that GBP should head down to this support zone here, right? What I would want to go in for, since we didn't key into that trade early enough, you can still key into it now, going in for an instant sell on GBP USD at the moment, up until 1.23117, right? So everything on the chart here, you could see this progression from this rejection at the top. You could see the projection. So there is a high, and then this actually came to form a lower high, and then most likely, even if there's going to be a retracement, it might retrace down to this, up to this trend line, and then still push back down, since we don't have any major news pushing the GBP at this point in time. So what you, even if there is a retracement into a buy, it most likely will hit around this trend line and come back into a sell down to this support, right? Pushing the market in favor of the USD. So for USD GBP, I think it's a clear-cut direction for a sell market for today. A clear-cut direction. So it depends on how many people you'll be targeting. If you're targeting 20 pip, let's see, from the current market price, if you're entering at an instant market execution, from the current market price down to this base here, that's roughly about 53 pips, right? That's roughly about 53 pips on an instrument like GBP USD, which most likely you'll be making maybe about 200 naira per pip movement on 0.01. And if you're using a standard lot, right, you'll be making roughly about, I think, is it 2,000 or about, or thereabout, sure. So if you're calculating that, if you're using 0.10, right? If you're using 0.10, you'll be making about 2,000. And if you're using a standard lot, you'll be making about 20,000 naira per pip movement on GBP USD, right? So 20,000 naira on a standard lot times 53 pip. Right, of course, I wouldn't be greedy and go all the way. So I might want to just maybe target out of 53 pip. If I take half of that, that would be roughly about 20, 20, 25, 20, 29 people there about, right? So even if I'm targeting 29 pip times 20,000 naira, you see that's still a good amount of money, and I'm out of the market. But you could actually go in for your sell. All this is a win for you if you're entering in an instant sell at this point. All this is a win for you. So because we didn't enter that trade in time, because we didn't start that move from the beginning of that a little bit of a downtrend, most likely what you'll be expecting is a higher stop loss zone, or a higher risk margin. So I'd want to cut out my losses if price is comes above my trend line. So looking at the past year, you could see that year was more of a resistance for price, right? Year was more of a resistance for price. But because there is also a supporting trend line, I'd want to push my take profit above, my stop loss rather, above here, right? So if you've entered in for a sell, of course, you should be reading in profit now, but my stop loss, if price breaks above 1.23995, if price breaks above there, then I just cut my losses and I move on, right? I cut my losses and I move on. I tell people the best way to actually trade and be profitable is also for you to be calculating your risks to every trade you're putting in. So for every trade I'm actually trying to take, I'm also looking at the risks involved in it. So if you're looking at this, because we did, like I said, because we didn't enter this trend in time, most likely your risks would be a little bit high. But this is looking at the sentiments coming out for today, you're most likely going to be getting a sell, a further push down of price on GBP USD, calculating about 52 pip, right? It's worth it. So you could actually go in for a sell on GBP USD, instant market execution, or you just wait a little for price to drag below this point. But if you're entering in for a sell at this point, you are still good to go, right? You're still good to go, right? So and also you could check here, this is more of a bearish engulfing. This is a resistance point, by the way. This is a resistance point. So this is more of a bearish engulfing, and if this candle closes with your bearish confirmation candle, then you get your further push down that you're looking for. So if you're waiting for your confirmation, it's fine. If you're entering now, it's still fine, right? You'll still be making money from that trade. So let's look at another instrument. So we have a news coming out on CHF, right? So I wouldn't be paying USD CHF. Let's confirm that. Yes, we have news coming out on CHF. So I wouldn't want to pair, because the news on CHF is more of a speech, and sometimes in this market, some speeches can spring up surprises. I don't want to be caught in the web, so I just would stay clear of USD CHF, right? I'll just stay clear of USD CHF. Let's look for another instrument. Okay, we've looked at GBP USD. Let's look for. Okay, so we've done 3 USD pair. Right, we've done 3 USD pair. Let's look at euro pair. Since we have euro coming out, we have euro having a speech for the whole day. So let's look at euro. let's look at Euro GBP, right? Let's look at Euro GBP. So for Euro GBP, I think the GBP so far has been getting a whole lot of strong momentum. I discovered that since the beginning of last week. Yes, since the beginning of last week, we had GBP actually gain a whole lot of strength, and I think the economy has been trying to stay afloat, and I think the change in monarchy has also and the coronation of the new king has actually helped in boosting the GBP. Right, when there's a change in monarchy, they had to print new currencies, right, with King Charles' face on it, and that is slowly that will be slowly eased into the economy. I think that also gave a boost to the GBP zone, right? So, but for this morning, I don't know how the turn of events would actually look like for the euro, looking at the fundamental that is coming out. But if you look at it technically, price is currently on a good base, on a good support here, right? Price is currently on a good support here, and this is a second rejection at this point, a second recent rejection at this point. So I expect that price should actually hit this support and push up, right? I expect that price should actually hit this support and push up, and we are early, right? We are early, right? So it simply means we can easily ride the trend from the beginning, right? We can easily ride the trend from the beginning. So despite the fact that I want to ride this trend, because from here now is a good buy zone, right? I'll be sticking out my neck on this instrument for a buy. So from here is a good buy zone shapes. This is a good buy zone all the way here. So I'm targeting from here. My first take profit will be at this resistance at the top here. My first take profit will be here, right? And if that's the effect of the news actually pushes price above here, I still will target a second take profit and more like a third take profit. But that's on a speculation that the euro actually gives a positive sentiment that would actually drag the instrument, because currently euro is flat. That's just the reality of things. Euro is flat. So we are just banking on the fact that the eurozone has not been doing so well, and policymakers should actually come up with decisions to boost the euro. But if that doesn't come into play, you most likely will be seeing a further push down on this instrument, right? If that doesn't come into play, you most likely will be seeing a further push down on this instrument. So GBP is currently strong. That's why you're seeing this current sell candle. But I don't think, since there is no fundamental news on the GBP at this point, I don't think this bearish move would still hold water. I don't think, and it has been selling for a while. If you add your RSI, I think price should have hit an oversold region. If you're adding your RSI, let's go and add our relative strength index, right? If I'm adding my RSI, yeah. So price has approached an oversold region. So at 30. So my RSI is at 30. This is an oversold region. So I just would like my RSI to break below 30, and then I'm going for a buy up until price starts pushing into 70, right? So I've done what I want, and I've confirmed that most likely price is not going to push down again. So, but of course, you still need to be very safe, safeguard yourself by adding your risk zone. Let's add your risk zone. Like I said, today's news is purely fundamental, and fundamentals can be crazy. It could go in any direction. So my risk zone will be around here. If price breaks below my supports, I most likely will be cutting. I'll most likely be cutting out that trade. And then you could, if you're still on the chart, you could now go in the actual direction that the news is pushing the market to, right? So this would be my benchmark. Anywhere in between this region, anywhere in between here would be my. So I'll be cutting my risks anywhere around here. So you could do a screenshot of this. You could do a screenshot of this. This would be my risk zone. And then if price is comfortably able to break below this red zone, then you can go in for a sell, right? You could go in for a sell. So, but this morning, my buy, I'm targeting how many pips in profits from here to here. If you're risking it now, you're going in for a buy, targeting about 23 pips from here to from this point. That's at price level 0.8 yeah, 0.86725 at 0.86275 rather, 0.86275. I'll be going in for a buy from this point up until this point here at 0.86511. So that will be my first take profit points. And if price gets to this point, I just want to take a pause and watch the market. If it breaks above here, I go in for a further buy, right? Take note of what my decision is now. I'm going to go for a buy to the first resistance. If price is able to comfortably hit my first resistance and it still keeps pushing in that direction, then I might now decide to go in for a further buy, right? I wouldn't advise you take a stretch. I wouldn't advise you take that buy on a stretch, because it might happen that price gets to that point and then the fundamental news is not strong enough to actually push price, right? Please hold on. Okay, let me take out this. All right, so I wouldn't want you to just take a stretch buy, because there are still support and resistance zone there. So if you're doing this, ensure that price gets to your resistance first. Take out the profit you've made so far, right? So from year to year, you're going for a buy. If you're entering an instant buy now, right? So from year to year, you take in your first buy, wait at this resistance. The keyword is wait at this resistance. You wait at this resistance for price to break above this resistance at 0.86517. So once price gets here, you wait at that resistance, and if price is able to break above there, you can now ride it all the way up to this point, right? So that move will be determined by the effect of the news coming out. That move will be determined by the effect of the news coming out, right? So that's in total, you'll be getting roughly about, so if you're getting it from the base up until this point, you'll be getting roughly about 63 pips. You'll be getting roughly about 63 pips on you. Euro GBP is not so profitable in pips, so you would also need to use a reasonable lot size, right? You will also need to use a reasonable lot size for this trade for you to make something worthwhile from Euro GBP. So up until here, that's roughly about 63 pip, which is quite something if you're using a good lot size. So that's for Euro GBP. Let's look at another instrument that has the euro paired to it. So I wouldn't want to be pairing an instrument like Euro USD. Don't forget, I said we have news coming out on Euro. We also have news coming out on the USD. So I will just leave Euro USD to do its thing, right? So let's look for another instrument paired with the Euro that doesn't have an high impact news coming out. So we have Euro AUD, right? We did Euro GBP. Let's look at Euro AUD. Euro AUD. Euro AUD. So for Euro AUD, you have more of a ranging market on Euro AUD. So I think both instruments are also very flat, but considering that one would be having or one is currently having a high impact news for today, we expect that this flat market shouldn't continue for long, right? Shouldn't continue for long. So compared to the AUD, the euro was actually strong as at yesterday, though both instruments are flat, but compared to the AUD, the euro has been stronger. And I think that move will still continue because we have more of what we call a flag, right? For those that are used to candlestick formation, right? We have more of a flag. So you have a long pole, then with a ranging market. A long pole with a ranging market actually means market continuity, right? A long pole, this is your long pole, this is your flag, right? So it's most times signify market continuity, right? So I'm most likely will be sticking my neck for Euro AUD for a buy, right? Looking at the fundamental and then the chart formation. So I'd want to go in for a buy, right? Despite the fact that I'm going in for a buy, I also would want to go in for a buy at a reasonable point, right? Where I'm very sure that market is actually going to push in for a clear buy. So the reasonable point to be above this resistance point, right? But if you're looking at it on a 15 minutes time frame, let's go. Let's see if we could get a quick market. Let's see, also considering the spread on this instrument, let's see if we could get a quick entry before that resistance, right? Is it worth it? If you're buying from year to year, let's see how many pip that is. because sometimes before placing your trade, you need to be sure, is it worth it? Okay, so this is roughly about 35 pip from the current market price down to this the peak resistance at the top here is roughly about 35 pip, right? It's worth it. It's a good trade, right? It's a good trade. It's something I'd like to take. So but aside the peak resistance at the top here, we also have a little bit of a struggle here where price was rejected once and it was rejected here again a second time. So rejection one, rejection two, right? So I would also want to consider that before entering for a buy. So all these points here would be my risk zone. This would be my buy zone at the top. This would be my buy zone at the top. I'll be entering in for a buy at around here, right? So if price is able to break above here, so this would be my buy zone. This is on a 15 minutes time frame, and this is going to be a short trade, right? This is going to be a short trade, and if that sentiment still continues, of course, you can still continue that buy. If that sentiment still continues, you can still continue that buy. Let me expand this. Okay, expand my horizontal line. Okay. All right. So let me expand this. Okay. So as soon as price is able to break above here, this is on a 15 minutes time frame. As soon as price is able to break above here, you could key in for a buy. Already you have your bullish engulfing, right? Your bullish engulfing, your bullish confirmation candle, and price is still pushing up. Though there is more of a long leg doji here, but that should still indicate market continuity, right? So I'm sticking my neck out for Euro AUD for a buy, right? For a buy. And of course, that buy should continue. If you're taking it from a 15 minutes time frame up until here, you could cut out your trade targeting 35 pip, and then if price is able to now break above this resistance here, this is the highest peak of the chart for a while, right? So if price is able to break above that point, then you can now go in for a further buy up until the next resistance, which is somewhere around here. So notice I had to shrink my chart to get the next resistance at the top, right? And the next resistance is quite far. So there is a good number of people you'll be targeting. So if the news on Euro is able to push the markets upward, there is quite a lot of profit we can be making from this particular move. So that's roughly about, if you're calculating it, so from the base here up until this point, that's roughly about 105 pip, right? 105 pip. So okay, so like I said, buy a short buy for those that will be entering instantly, a short buy from here to here, and then this also is a good point for you to still keep for you to still hold on to your buy. So a total of 115 points for my buy, and then of course to cut out, to be sure, or to be on the safe side, if price is able to break below your support here, this should be my risk zone, right? This should be my risk zone. So I'll be putting my stop loss anywhere in this region. I'll be putting my stop loss anywhere in this region, right? So anywhere in this region, depending on your risk appetite, if price is able to break below here, right? So most likely I would want to put it at the base. Yeah, so this is a support zone. Yeah, okay. This is a support zone. Bring this down. So I'd like to, if it was me, I'll be putting my stop loss at the base here to ensure that even if there's a little bit of a retracement from that resistance, I'm still on the trade. It doesn't hit my stop loss and kick me out and then start going into a buy, right? So my stop loss would be somewhere around 1.64000. My stop loss will be somewhere around there, and then my buy trade should start from 1.64798, right? My buy trade will start from there up until 1.65860. So you could just do a screenshot of this, use that to better determine what entries you want to be entering or at what level you want to be entering. If you're a cautious trader, you'd want to wait for price to completely break above here before you go in for a buy and ride it up until this first resistance, or if it keeps going above this resistance, then you can ride it up until the top here where you have your next resistance. So that being said, let's look at another instrument. Let's look at We've looked at 2 euro pairs. We've looked at 3 USD pairs. Let's go back to Forex Factory and see what other pair we'll be looking out for. Let's look at CAD. Yes, we'll be looking at CAD pair next. Let's look at CAD pair. We'll look at 2 CAD pair, then we'll go into 1 indices, 1 commodities, and then we'll call it a day. So, of course, like I said, we won't be pairing 2 instruments with high impact news coming out. So I'll be looking at CAD against an instrument that doesn't have a high impact news coming out today. I won't be paying Euro CAD also. So let's look at something like CAD JPY or CAD CHF. CAD JPY or CAD CHF. So CAD CHF or CAD JPY. Let's look at CAD JPY first. Let's also look at CAD JPY, and also let's look at CAD CHF. Open chart. So those 2 charts are what we'll be looking out for. So for CAD JPY, we actually have the JPY on a strong on a strong win in this market for a while. We've had and you know, when you're coming out from the Asian session, that's early hours of the morning, most times you have this major boost from the JPY. Most time, and JPY is, because they are producing economy, most times you always find out that the JPY is mostly strong, except for this time where they were struggling with the COVID-19 and all. But I think they are fully recovered from, not fully, but they've partially recovered from the effect of the COVID-19 on their economy, right? So, but early hours of the morning, there is always this major boost on the JPY, and a lot of persons that actually know about this have been taking advantage of it. They just stay early hours of the morning, they wake up around that 2, 3, 4, they trade the JPY, and they're able to make good amount of money from it. And during the day, they might now look into USD pair. It's also a trading strategy. But if you're looking at it now, looking at the fact that we have high impact news coming out on the CAD, right? I think that's what is influencing the movement on the chart at this point in time. And currently, price is on a good support, right? So on this instrument, we are also early. And it's a good thing, because we're going to be buying from the base. It's a good thing. It's a win-win for us. So I'm going to be looking at the sentiment around the CAD at this point. I'm going to be looking out for a buy. So where I'm targeting my buy, I'm going in for a buy all the way to this top, because I mean, why not? So I'm going for a buy all the way to this top. But of course, you also need to look out for little rejection points in between, right? Little rejection in between. So you could break it down into take profits 1, take profits 2, right? So I'm breaking it down at the middle here. So this would, because this is a resistance point. It was once a support, which is now a resistance point for price, right? It's once a support, which is now a resistance for price. And if you look at it, the previous candle that formed on this instrument was more of a hammer. The previous candle that formed there was more of a hammer, right? And currently we are having our bullish confirmation candle. So you have your hammer on your support, right? Your hammer on your support is a good reversal pattern, right? Your hammer on your support is a good reversal pattern. And what we are looking out for is a confirmation, right? Is a confirmation. So like I said, we're expecting more of a buy, but I would like this candle to actually close first to get my confirmation. I like this candle to actually close first to get my confirmation. So if this closed bullish, then you would have one hell of a bullish run on this particular instrument. So like I said, break it down into segment. You don't go all the way to the top, because most likely there will be retracement along the line, right? So break it down into take profit 1, take profit 2, right? You could split it into 2 trades, right? Some persons might actually split it into 2 trade. They take 2 trade, and they put one with the first take profit, and then the second one with the second take profit, right? So that's, and then of course, if price breaks below this support zone, then I don't think I have any business holding on to that trade again. So this will be my risk zone. This will be my risk zone. So of course you want to go completely below your support, so that you have enough room for confirmation. So if it breaks below your support and still keeps going down, then you might actually need to cut out that trade. But so this would be my risk zone around here. So of course, let me change my reward zone to something of a light yellow. Perfect. So this is a good setup for CAD JPY. This is a good setup for CAD JPY. A good setup. So my preference is a buy. So let's look at CAD CHF. Let's look at CAD CHF. CAD CHF. So for CAD CHF, CAD CHF is also at a resistance point. For an instrument like this, okay, so CAD CHF is also, I think CHF is weak, and the buy actually started off early. The buy actually started off early on this particular instrument. So price has already hit a resistance point. And of course, though my preference will still be in favor of the CAD, right? Though my preference will still be in favor of the CAD, but you still would want to be cautious, because if for any reason there is a rejection at this point, price might fall all the way back to this support, Look at, there's a support here, right? So this support was once a resistance, 1, 2, and then it might further push down to this point here. Okay, I think this is a more potent one, right, than this. So it might push down to this support before heading back up. So I would want to be careful, right? So what you want to do on this particular instrument is, you could have two preferences, right? You could put a buy limit at the bottom here. For those that know how to use pending order, you could put a buy limit at the bottom, right? You could put a buy limit at the bottom here, right? So let's do this. Let's use our rectangle shape. So all this zone is still a good buy zone. Like I said, if price is not able to break above this current resistance at the moment, it will fall all the way to this point here. So I would want to put a good buy limit anywhere around here. That's in a scenario where price is rejected around here, right? I'd want to put a good buy limit anywhere around here. Will be good for you to add in your buy limit. And then if price comfortably breaks above, and when I say break above, the fact that price has stuck its head out of this place doesn't mean it has broken above it. Don't get it wrong. And that's where a lot of traders actually make mistakes. So they might feel, okay, price has actually broken above it, but no, price has not broken above these points yet. The only time you can say price has broken above these points is if this candle closes above the resistance, right? That's where a lot of traders make mistake, because something like this can happen again, where price came all the way up here, it stuck its neck out, and then it came back down. And look at, after that rejection at the top, what happened? It came all the way back down here. So if you're entering in for a current buy now, you might be in trouble. You get me? If you're entering in for a current buy now, you might be in trouble. So what you want to do is to wait for this candle to close, right? If it closes above, then fine. You can go in for a further buy up until the next resistance. Right. So on this chart, we're actually going to be playing the weight game. Right. I call it the weight game, because in as much as you're a trader, patience should also be your virtue. I've met a lot of impatient traders in my life, and sometimes I wonder how they survive in this market. Right. I wonder how they survive in this market. So if it comfortably closes above there, then of course there's a free buy to the top here. Right. There's a free buy to the top here. So still don't be hasty, right? Still don't be hasty. It's better you miss out on the trade than enter a wrong trade. So still don't be hasty. Allow price to comfortably close, and this candle will be closing the next. Or let's look at it on a 15 minutes time frame. This is the 1 hour time frame, right? Okay, on a 1 hour time frame, I think on a 15 minutes time frame, right? I think if you're going in for a buy, looking at a 15 minutes time frame, you have a clearer view as to what the market has done. So market has actually closed a little bit above that resistance point, and then the next candle is forming above. So I think still entering in for an instant buy will still be a safe point, right? Still entering in for an instant buy will still be a safe point. Or if you're waiting for a confirmation, right? I'm looking at it on a 30 minutes also, and I think price has also gone above this point. On the 15 minutes, it has closed above that point. On the 30 minutes, it's still forming, but I am a very, very cautious trader. So I would rather it close on a 1 hour time frame before I stick out my neck for a buy. I rather I close on a 1 hour time frame before I stick out my neck for a buy. And I mean, there's still a lot of pip for you to cover up. So that's roughly about 25 pip, right? That's roughly about 25 pip. Right? If it closes, you still have, even if it takes 5 pip, you still have roughly about 20 pip in for your buy. Right. So, and if price breaks below all these points here is your buy zone, and then my risk zone will be if price breaks below this support. So my preference on USD CAD this morning is a buy. So I've given you all the parameters. Depends on what decisions you want to take now. It's either you're entering now or you be like me, wait for price to comfortably break above that rejection, and then you're still going for a buy. So that would be all for currencies. I think we've done a whole lot of currencies. Let's look at gold, since we have high impact news coming out on the USD, right? Let's look at gold. Let's look at gold. So gold on a 1 hour time frame. Gold on a 1 hour time frame. So because we are expecting major news on the USD, I expect that gold should actually give a push down. Gold being a reactive instrument on the dollar, right? Gold being a reactive instrument on the dollar. So let me add my period separator. So you could see that gold is actually bouncing off a resistance at this point. So it's evidence that we are still early on this trade. You have your price piercing, and then this current candle forming bullish would serve as your confirmation. Your price piercing with this current, your bearish price piercing, and then this current candle forming bearish, once it closed, would serve as all the confirmation you need for a sell trade. So most likely I'll be going in for a sell once price is able to break below this point here. So all these points is my sell zone. Right, where is my shape? Yeah. So all these points here is my sell zone. Let me change the color of that. Okay, let's give it this color. All right, so all these points is my sell zone. And then my take profits, I'll be taking my profits up until here. So you see, there's a whole room for you to actually make profit. A lot of pip for you to actually key into on gold, and gold being a very profitable instrument. Of course, good lot size, you'll be making quite a hit on this particular instrument for today. You'll be making quite a hit on this particular instrument for today. So all right, so that's roughly about, if you're going in as soon as price breaks this support, that's roughly about 950 195 pip, rather 195 pip. So 195 pip on gold is it's something, I can tell you. 195 pip on gold is something. So if you have good lot size, if you're using 0.10, at least you should be making nothing less than, I think the profits per pip on gold is about 800 naira, I think. Yeah, if you're using 0.01, 0.01, is it 800 or 600? So if you're calculating it at let's say 600, right? If you're calculating it at 600 with 0.01, 600 naira times 193 pip, that's a lot. And if you're using a standard lot, that's roughly about 60,000 naira per pip movement. So times 194 lots, you could do the math and see how much you would actually be making on that trade. So don't forget, I said as soon as it breaks this support, this is your sell zone. Well, as soon as price breaks this support, this is your risk zone. As soon as price breaks this support, you could go in for a clear sell on gold, right? So let's look at one. Let's look at. Okay. Let's look at one stock, and then we'll call it a day. So we'll be looking at US 30, right? We'll be looking at US 30, and okay, so we have about 6 minutes for this class to end. So you looking at US 30, of course, we also have that inverse correlation on currencies and stocks. So most times when currencies are doing well, most persons prefer to do business with their currency rather than buying stocks. So you see the prices of stocks decline, and then the price of currency actually push up. And when the currency is not doing so well, a lot of persons will prefer to buy stocks than put the money into businesses, right? So that correlation is always there, but it's not 100% correlation, because in as much as there are correlations, stocks also have its own driving force. So like US 30 is top 30 performing companies in the US, and some of them release their quarterly earnings, their yearly earnings, and most times when their earnings are good, despite the fact that the currency is doing well, the stocks also might also be doing well, right? Especially if there's launching of new products, if there's a change in management and all of that, those can actually push up the stock, despite the fact that the currency is also strong, right? I need you to get that clear. So I'm going to be looking at US 30 technically for this morning, because we have that news coming out later in the day. So the effect of that news might not play out this morning, right? The effect of that news might not play out this morning. So if you're looking at this currently, you're seeing that this is more of a good buy pattern on US 30 this morning. This is more of a good buy pattern on US 30. So price is slowly forming a bullish engulfing, right? Price is slowly forming a bullish engulfing. So if that comes to play, I most likely will be sticking out for a buy on this particular instrument up until this resistance point. If that comes into play, I'll be sticking out for a buy on this particular instrument up until this resistance point here, up until this resistance point, and marking this point as my risk zone. So if price breaks below that point, I most likely will cut out my trade. So this will be my risk zone. This would be my risk zone. If price breaks below that point, then I don't have any business holding on to that trade again. I just cut it out and move on, right? So this is my risk zone on this particular instrument. But my buy, you could go in for an instant buy, more like an instant buy at this point, up until this resistance at around here. So my take profit will be somewhere around 33248. So like I say, when a take profit figure is given, it doesn't necessarily mean that price might hit that take profit. It would get towards that zone, and based on that now, and of course, you don't want to put your take profit on your resistance, right? You don't want to put your take profit on your resistance. You want to put your take profit somewhere before your resistance point, right? Somewhere before your resistance point, so that the whole idea is for price to hit your take profit before hitting your resistance, and then price start retracing back down, right? So just get that very clear. So if I'm going in for an instant buy now, anywhere around the top here will serve as a good take profit point for me, right? So those are all the instruments for today. I think I've been able to cover all the major instruments pitching in the news. So like I said, these analyses are not for just taking entries, right? Of course, you can take entries based on them, but also ensure that you're learning how to do analysis, right? That's the whole essence of trying to, because I could just easily just do my analysis myself and then come and give you entries, but that won't be educative enough. That won't equip you with the right knowledge you need in tackling this market on a day-to-day basis, right? Strive as much as possible to understand how most of these analyses are done, and that's why I try to do it right in front of you, right? I open a new chart right in front of you so that you can follow along. So if I'm taking a buy on this instrument, you should know why, right? If I'm taking a sell on this instrument, you should know why, either technically or fundamentally, right? So it was nice having you guys, and I look forward to hosting you again on next morning market review. Do have a wonderful day.